Her coffee was already cold, but she stayed anyway. Elena had finished her coffee almost 20 minutes ago, maybe longer. She wasn't counting. The cup sat in front of her now, half empty, cold, forgotten between her hands. Around her, the cafe continued moving, people entering, people leaving, chairs scraping softly against the floor, quiet conversations mixing together like background music, normal life, busy life, the kind that keeps going without asking anyone to keep up. And still, she stayed. Not because she had nowhere to go. She did. Laundry waiting at home, messages she still hadn't answered, small responsibilities stacked quietly in the back of her mind. Nothing dramatic, just life. But for some reason, getting up felt unnecessary. Not difficult, not heavy, just unnecessary. She sat near the window, watching people pass outside, most of them moving quickly, phones in their hands, coffee cups balanced carefully, eyes already focused on wherever they needed to be next. And Elena noticed something. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel jealous of that rush. She used to. She used to think movement meant purpose, that being busy meant being okay. But now, she wasn't so sure. The cafe smelled warm, coffee beans, sugar, fresh bread somewhere behind the counter, comforting smells, the kind that quietly settle into the air without demanding attention. A barista laughed softly in the background. Someone dropped a spoon. A chair moved again. Small sounds, ordinary sounds. And somehow, they made her feel connected to the world without needing to participate in it. She wrapped both hands around the cup. Even though the coffee was cold now, the warmth was gone. But the feeling remained. A reason to stay seated a little longer. She looked out the window again. A woman walked by, holding flowers. A man adjusted his scarf against the wind. Someone stood outside, checking directions on their phone. Little moments, tiny pieces of lives she would never know anything about. And still, she liked watching them. Not because she was curious, but because it reminded her that everyone carried something invisible. Everyone was on their way somewhere. Even if they looked calm, even if they smiled, even if nobody noticed. She leaned back slightly in her chair. The cafe lights reflected softly against the window glass. For a moment, she caught her own reflection, and something about it surprised her. She looked tired, but softer, less tense. Like her face wasn't carrying the same pressure anymore, that quiet pressure to always react, to always answer, to always move. She looked down at the table. Her phone rested beside the cup, silent, face down. She hadn't checked it in a while, not intentionally. She just forgot. And somehow, that felt important, because there was a time she couldn't sit through 2 quiet minutes without reaching for it, without searching for distraction, without needing something to interrupt her thoughts. But now, The silence didn't scare her the same way. It simply existed, like the rain outside, like the sound of dishes behind the counter, like breathing. The barista walked past her table. "Can I get you anything else?" Elena looked up slowly, then smiled softly. "No, thank you." The barista nodded kindly, and Elena realized something strange. She didn't feel guilty for staying. That was new. Before, she always felt the need to justify her presence somewhere. Buy something. Do something. Leave quickly. But now, she was simply there, and that was enough. She glanced outside again. The sky had shifted slightly darker, clouds moving slowly above the street, time passing, without rushing her, without asking her to hurry. She touched the edge of the cup gently, then finally stood up. Slowly, not because she had to, not because the moment was over, but because she was ready. She picked up her phone, slipped it quietly into her pocket, put on her jacket, and before leaving, she looked around the cafe one last time, not dramatically, not emotionally, just noticing it. The warmth, the noise, the ordinary comfort of strangers existing together. Then she walked toward the door, calmly, without rushing, and when the cold air touched her face outside, she realized something. She hadn't stayed because she was avoiding life. She stayed because, for the first time in a long time, she actually felt present inside it. Her coffee had gone cold a long time ago, but she stayed until she was ready to leave, and somehow that felt new.